Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. Now, we don't have a guest today, but two colleagues have kindly sent videos commenting two very special performances. So we'll listen to them later. Let's start now right away with reviewing what's been happening in our sport in the last 2 weeks, and it's been just another amazing fortnight. 3 world records were set in 3 different continents: 800 women in Liévin in France, 400-meter men in Fayetteville in the US, and the men's half marathon race walk in Kobe, Japan, plus a superb double area record in the men's mile and 1500, a world under 20 record, 2 world under 18 bests, and lots more continental records. So we'll review all of them as we look at all the top competitions. Let's start with a quick recap of the top level indoor meetings, the World Indoor Tour Gold. Second to last meeting of the series took place on the 19th of February in Liévin. And while 5 world leads were set there, including Keely Hodgkinson's impressive 800-meter world record. The reigning Olympic champion had been saying for a while that she felt the record was hers to take, having been set on the day she was born. And after her 1:56.33 at the British Championships, it did seem she had a good chance. In Liévin, Hodgkinson dominated the race, following the pacemaker in the first 400 and then the wave light, and was well clear of the chasers, including Switzerland's Audrey Huero by the 600-meter mark, closing in 1:54.87 to take almost 1 second off Yolanda Cheplak's mark from 2002, as Switzerland's Audrey Huero was 3.5 seconds behind with 1:58.38, approximately 1 second slower than her 2 previous races this month. Given Hodgkinson's ease in destroying the long-standing world record, she really deserved her moment as the 800-meter queen on the red velvet and gold-gilded throne reserved for the event winners in Liévin. But let's hear what British journalist Stuart Weir has to say about this talented young star.
I was sorry I couldn't fit Liévin into my schedule this year to see the amazing Keely Hodgkinson break that long-standing world record, incredibly established on the day of her birth. But I can't complain, because 6 days previously, in a heat of the British Indoor Championship, I had seen Keely run 1:56.33. I first became aware of Keely at the British Indoor Championships in 2020, when she became champion at the age of just 17. The moment the world took notice of her was at the Tokyo Olympics, when with that incredible finishing sprint, she got the silver medal. What a privilege to be there at a time when no spectators were allowed. Over the years, I've seen most of her big races, been proud that she represented my country. I've also been blessed to speak to her on a number of occasions, whether one-to-one or as part of a GB media huddle. Some athletes don't really like media, but Keely always gives herself and has that ability just to make you feel you're the only person who's ever asked her that dumb question. She also injects fun into it. I mean, I remember the day after the Olympic triumph, when she told us that her sponsor had offered to buy her a car. She had shown him a picture of an Aston Martin. On another occasion, she was telling us about how she adapted to life, living on her own for the first time, and she wanted to heat some milk, so she'd put it in the kettle. telling us a story to laugh at herself. The frightening thing about Keely is that at just 23, there's so much to come. We probably haven't even seen the best of her yet.
Many thanks, Stuart. I especially loved hearing about Keely's fun side and her capacity to laugh at herself. So back to the Liévin meet. Among the women, the best of the rest also came in the middle distances. Ethiopia's double world indoor champion, Freweni Hailu, took a clear victory in the 3,000 meters, clocking a world-leading 8:24.59 ahead of compatriot Aleshi Nyembaweke, who surged to second in the home straight, closing in 8:26.29. Italy's Olympic and world 1,000-meter silver medalist Nadia Battocletti could not fend off the attack from the 20-year-old Baweke, but she was rewarded with an Italian record of 8:26.44, just 0.03 of a second off the European record held by Scots Laura Muir since 2017. Battocletti then flew straight to Sicily after Liévin, where she took her 6th national title in the cross country, which is an event which is really dear to her heart. The rarely run 2,000-meter race was another highlight, won by Australia's Jessica Hull in an excellent 8:24.59, the second best mark ever. Now, I just wonder why the guy in red couldn't wait 15 seconds until all the competitors had finished their race, but whatever. After her outdoor 2,000-meter world record in Monaco on July 2024, Hull can truly claim to be the queen of the 2,000 meters. Her performance added yet another Oceania record to her growing collection, as she now boasts 8 continental bests over the 800, 1,000, 1,500, the mile, both outdoor and indoor, the 2,000 outdoor and indoor, though technically those are world bests, not records, and the 3,000-meter women. So impressive Hull. And well behind the Australian, Portugal's Salome Afonso placed second in 5 minutes 30.31 to register a European best performance at the distance, moving to number 3 all-time and improving the previous continental mark set back in 1998 by the great Gabriela Szabo with 5:30.53, a world best which had lasted almost 19 years. Among the men, the theme of the evening was the same, middle distance excellence. Elliot Creston already has 2 world indoor 800-meter medals to his name, but the quiet Belgian has really reached a new dimension this year. In Liévin, he once again dipped under 144, winning the race in 1:43.91, again ahead of 23-year-old Pole Maciej Widerka with 1:44.64. So with his 1:43.83 indoor national record from early February, Creston joins 800-meter royalty to become only the 3rd man to run multiple sub-144s indoor. Current world record holder Josh Hoey has 3 such marks. Wilson Kipketer has 2. Both were world indoor records when the Dane set them in 1997 at the World Indoors in Paris. Great Britain's Elliot Giles has 1 such mark, as does Kenya's Michael Saruni, and the 2 complete the list of sub-144 runners. The 1,500 meters was also a very fast race and one of great depth, where for only the 2nd time in history, the top 6 men all broke 3:34 in the same indoor race. Tokyo's world champion, Isaac Nader of Portugal, clocked 3:32.44, the second fastest time this year. And that was therefore a very successful evening for the couple Nader Afonso, who continue to shine together. Overall, the top 4 athletes set national records. Joining Nader were Italy's Federico Riva, 3:33.02, Ireland's Andrew Koskeren, 3:33.09, and the Netherlands' Stefan Nillesen, 3:33.64. The pole vault completed the trio of top events. World Championship silver medalist Emmanuel Caralis maintained his win streak, clearing his first 8 meters bar of the year with a short-lived world lead. Norway's Sondre Guttormsen and Zachary Bradford both registered 5 meters 90, and that is the 5th time this year for the super consistent American. And with so many great results, Liévin again topped the ranking of the World Indoor Tour Gold meetings for an impressive 7th time in a row. So congratulations to the whole team, and it is indeed a wonderful meeting. Just 3 days later, the final leg of the World Indoor Tour Gold Series was held in Torun, the Orlen Copernicus Cup. Best results, as in almost all indoor meets so far, again came from middle distances, with some added spice in Poland. Botswana's Tshezipo Masalela, who had finished in the top 8 in the 800 meters at the Paris Olympics and in the last 2 World Championships, was running his first indoor 1500 meters in Torun, and he crossed the line in an excellent 3:32.55, just 1/100th of a second ahead of France's Azzedine Habs. However, as the 2 athletes were approaching the finish line side by side, Botswana turned towards Habs and pointed his fingers like a gun. The 2 were so close that the Frenchman finally swatted his opponent's arm away in frustration. Masalela's gesture was considered unsportsmanlike, leading to his disqualification. A real shame to ruin a great performance with some silly showboating. The Netherlands' Samuel Chappell clocked 3:32.68, and Sweden's Samuel Pilström 3:33.47. Both were national records, with Chappell taking it from Nillesen, who had improved it only 3 days before in Liévin. Another excellent result came in the 800 meters, where Belgium's Elliot Creston won yet another high-level race, this time in just over 1:44, closing in 1:44.07, ahead again of Maciej Widerka, 1:44.30. So Creston now owns 3 of the top 6 performances of the year, and all of them are in the top 12 marks of all time. So really great season so far. In the women's events, one of the best performances came from France's Agathe Guillemot, who won a tight 1500-meter race ahead of double world indoor champion Freweyni Hailu, finding a gap on the inside to pip Hailu and her compatriot Birke Heilon, clocking 4 minutes 00.64 to 4:00.67, and setting her second national indoor record in 3 days after that over 2000 in Liévin. Already a finalist at the World Indoors last year, Guillemot will seek to improve on her 7th place when she returns to Torun in 1 month. Another athlete raising her form is Italy's Zainab Dosso in the 60 meters. The 25 World Indoor silver medalist sped to 6.99 to equal the world lead set 9 days earlier by St. Lucia's 100 meters Olympic champion Julian Alfred, and she closed ahead of Luxembourg's Patricia van der Wecken, who improved to 7.01. And Dosseau thus became only the 15th woman to break 7 seconds. The other world lead in Toruń came in the 60-meter hurdles, where double world indoor champion Devane Charlton of the Bahamas defeated outdoor world champion Ditaji Kambunji 7.77 to 7.78. So that's it for the indoor World Indoor Tour Gold. But earlier in the month, there were excellent results recorded in US meets. Priority, of course, goes to Khaleb McRae's excellent 44.52 mark over the 400 meters on 13 February in Fayetteville. That is the new 400-meter world indoor record for the Tokyo 4x4 silver medalist. Michael Norman had also run 44.52 in 2018, and Christopher Morales Williams had run even faster, 44.49 in 2024. But these performances were not ratified, so the official world record was Caron Clements' 44.57, set on the same track back in 2005. Sprinters had also taken center stage there with 260 meters world leads. Julian Alfred had become the first woman to run under 7 flat this year with 6.99, while the USA's Jordan Anthony improved his lifetime best to a world-leading 6.43. And interestingly, 110 hurdles world champion Cordell Tinch also improved his lifetime best, but not on the hurdles, in the long jump, where he soared to 8 meters 29. More fireworks came the next day at the Sound Invite in Winston-Salem. The meet had some very talented middle distance runners pitted against each other, and saw a truly impressive performance by Olympic 1,500 meters and world 5,000 meter champion Cole Hocker, who ran a blistering 3 minutes 45.94 to become only the second man after Norway's Jakob Ingebrigtsen to run the indoor mile in under 3:46. Cooper Teare was a distant second in 3:50.49, and the rest of the field was further adrift, including New Zealand's wunderkind Sam Bruce, who tried valiantly to stay with Hocker and faded to 7th in the final stages. Ruth's 3:52.46 is still a fantastic time for such a young athlete, and it is the 3rd best ever under 20 mark and 2nd best under 18 after his own world under 18 best in Boston on 31 January. But Ruth undoubtedly paid his inexperience with racing in a crowded field. But back to the winner. With his performance, Hocker improved the previous North American Caribbean record of 3:46.63, which was a world record when Yared Nuguse ran it in early February last year, before Ingebrigtsen came along 5 days later to rewrite history. And just like the Norwegian superstar in Lieven last year, Hocker made it a double record with a 3:30.80 split. He took almost 1 second off the NACAC 1,500 meter record, also set by Nuguse last February. And once again, only Ingebrigtsen twice has ever run faster. Hopefully, Jakob will have put his tendon issues behind him come summer, because I really can't wait to see both of them running together and facing off in good health. But that was not the only world record of the evening, as another talented young runner, Cooper Lutkenhaus, who only turns 18 in the second half of December, gave more joy to U.S. middle distance fans with a splendid performance over 800 meters, clocking 1:44.03 for a clear winner over St. Vincent's Handel Robin, 1:44.73, who again improved his indoor PB. Robin, the NACAC Championships gold medalist, has now taken 2 seconds off his best before this year. Lutkenhaus's 1:44.03 was a world under 20 record, taking 0.32 seconds off the previous mark by Russia's Yuri Borzhakovsky, which had been set back in the year 2000 and had resisted the assaults of several waves of talented young athletes. Also on 13 February, at the Boston University Hemery Valentine Invitational, El Saint Pierre had set the NACAC 1500 meter short track record with a split of 3:59.33. So she set it in the 1500. It was during a mile race, and she improved the 3:59.60 by her compatriot Heather McLean from last year. St. Pierre, the 24 World Indoors 3,000 meter champion, however, faded in the final stages and remained 1.4 seconds off her own continental record in the full distance. And finally, for US meets on 22 February, Saucony Battle for Boston also saw some excellent results. The very best came from yet another US runner, 22-year-old Parker Wolf, who is the NCAA 2024 outdoor 500 meter champion, who ran an excellent 12:59.09, finishing over 28 seconds ahead of the runner-up. The 1500 was also a very good race, with Canada's Foster Malek prevailing in 3:33.39 from the USA's Cooper Cothra, 3:33.85. And New Zealand's Sam Ruth concluded his US tour with 7:43.16 in the 3,000 meters, setting an Oceania under 18 best and moving to number 4 in the under 18 all-time list. So European meets were not quite as good, but there were several remarkable results. On 22 February, at the All-Star Perche pole event meeting in Clermont-Ferrand, organized by Renaud Lavillenie, World Athlete of the Year Mondo Duplantis started his 2026 campaign with yet another win, clearing a world-leading 6 meters 06, despite suffering from food poisoning 2 days before. He then tried the new world record height of 8:6:31, but it was not to be this time. There were several interesting results from national championships. National championships in some countries were held on 14-15 February. At the British Championships, as we saw, Keely Hodgkinson had run the 800 meter heats in 1:56.33, moving then to number 3 in the all-time list and giving a foretaste of what was to come in Liévin. The other exceptional marks came at national under 18 championships. At the Italian championships, hurdler Alessia Succo, already an under 20 European bronze medalist last year over the high hurdles against athletes who were up to 3 years older, improved her own world under 18 best over the 60 hurdles when winning the Italian age category championships. Succo clocked 8:05, taking another 0.2 seconds off her mark from the 2025 edition of the championships, and now owns the 3 best marks ever with 8:05, 8:03, 8:05, and 8:07. At the French Under-18 Championships, it was again a great performance in the 60-meter hurdles. Talented Nigerian Jared El-Jassian, running for French side Athletic Club Nord Valdoise, clocked a world Under-18 best of 7.43 over the 91.4 centimeter hurdles to take 0.05 seconds off the previous mark, which had belonged to Sasha Zoya since 2019. And Jassian, who arrived in France aged 1 year old, is, however, in the process of switching allegiance to his adoptive country. Let's move now to out-of-stadium events, starting with cross-country. The second Kenyan leg of the World Cross Country Tour Gold Meets, the Sirikwa Classic, was held on 14 February in Eldoret and saw a confirmation and a surprise. In the women's 10K race, reigning World Cross Country champion Agnes Jebet-Ngetich was utterly dominant, increasing her lead with each loop, closing in 32.28 with a huge 1 minute and 14 seconds gap ahead of the field and confirming her title from last year. The 10 kilometers world record holder said she runs cross as a build-up for track, so it will be interesting how she fares on that surface this year, where her best global performance so far is a 4th place at the 10,000 meters at the Tokyo World Championships. Mercy Chepkwemoi, 33.42, and Catherine Lerline, 33.51, completed the podium. The men's race, also contested over 10 kilometers, saw Boston 2025 and Chicago 24 marathon winner John Korir. Now, he had already surprised many by lining up at the start, and he told Athletics Kenya that during the warm-up, other athletes kept reminding him that this was not a marathon, but cross-country. But he had warned them all that if he was well placed at the 6 kilometer mark, they would not see him again. And Korir surged at 8K, pulling ahead to win his very first cross-country race in 29.44, a very encouraging test on his way to defend his Boston Marathon title. Behind the winner, Amos Kiprotich and Silas Centura were both timed in 29.46, while defending champion Daniel Ebenio, the World Cross bronze medalist, faded to 5th. So let's move now to road races. On 14 February, the Ras Al Khaimah half marathon was held in the United Arab Emirates, and Kenya's Jeffrey Kamworor, now aged 33, shows no sign of slowing down. The triple World Cross and triple World Half Marathon champion had also won the New York Marathon in 2017 and 2019, then suffered a serious leg injury in a road accident in 2020. But he bounced back, finishing 5th at the World Championships 22 marathon and just off the 2023 World Cross podium. In Ras Al Khaimah, he returned after his first win 30 years ago to clinch another victory in a speedy 58.14, achieving the 2 goals he had set himself: to run a fast race and to win. Great build-up for the London Marathon at the end of April. Behind Kamworor, Bahrain's Birhanu Balev improved to 58.23, while Kenya's Gideon Kipkertich Rono, who was 8th at the 2024 World Cross, achieved his best career result when placing 3rd in 58.38 PB. The women's race, which did not have the benefit of a pacemaker, was not as fast. Ethiopia's Asmarich Ayanle the 2023 African under-20 3,000-meter champion and world under-20 10-kilometer record holder, made a successful half-marathon debut to win in 1 hour 07:22, ahead of her compatriot Melknat Wudu and double world under-20 5,000-meter silver medalist, that is Wudu, and Tanzania's experienced Magdalena Shauri. Shauri, the Berlin 23 and Chicago 25 bronze medalist, had led much of the race, but was passed in the final stages by the pair of young Ethiopians, closing in 1:07:22. Just a day later, at the half marathon in Barcelona, the event saw new leaders for both men and women. In the men's race, Ethiopia's Hagos Gebrehiwot put on a dominant show. The 2013 World Cross Champion, who also won 3 minor medals over 5,000 at the Olympic Games and World Championships, has since also successfully moved to road running, winning the 5K title at the inaugural World Athletics Road Running Championships in Riga in 2023. On the streets of Barcelona, he again showed his prowess, breaking away from the pack at the 5-kilometer mark, together with Switzerland former refugee athlete Dominic Lokignomolo-Balu. But Gebrehiwot then took off alone to close in 58:05 as the Swiss faded in the second half, but still set a PB with 59:26. Hagos Gebrehiwot's performance bode well for his marathon debut in London in April. In the women's race, Kenya's Lois Chemnung, who had placed fourth in the Chicago Marathon last year, was even more dominant, triumphing by over 2 minutes over the USA's Wayne Kelati Fresgi, 1:04:01 to 1:06:04. Chemnung's time was a course record and moves her to number 6 in the all-time list, while Kelati Fresigi improved her own NACAC record, taking 5 seconds off the mark she had set last year in Houston. On the same day, 15 February, the Monaco Run was held in the Principality with road races over 5K and 10K. And one of the very best women's performances of 2026 was registered, but what made it extra special was the protagonist, quadruple 1,500-meter world champion and triple Olympic champion Faith Kipyegon made her 10K debut and was immediately at the highest level, clocking 29:46 to equal the number 14 mark of all time. The Kenyan superstar, who had set the mile world record in Monaco in 23, had announced her desire to transition to longer distances on the track and to road races, saying she was motivated to see athletes like Sifan Hassan and Helen Obiri, who had competed with her over the 1,500, now running the marathon. She had added, "When my time comes, I will join them in the marathon and see what the road will offer." Going by her 10K debut, road races seem to have many more satisfactions in store for Kipyegon. For some reason, however, I've asked World Athletics but have not received a reply. Kipyegon's mark is not on their top list, although those from the slower 5K are included. We'll see. On 22 February, another great race over 10 kilometers in Castellón in Spain. This had been billed as a double European record attempt, and indeed both men and women's records were broken, but not by the favorites Andreas Almgren and Eilish McColgan. The men's race saw Uganda's Herbert Kibet, who had placed fifth in the 3,000 meters at the World Under-20 Championships in 2024, make a winning debut at the distance in a world-leading 26:39, heading straight to the number 5 spot of all time. Behind him, Jan Schrub, the 2023 Eurocross champion and 2025 European road running champion at 10K, was second in 26.43 to take 2 seconds off the European record, ahead of third-placed Andreas Almgren, who repeated the 26:45, which had given him the continental best in January in Valencia. The women's race went to Kenya's Caroline Makandi Gitonga in an excellent 29:34, ahead of compatriot Nelvin Kipkemboi, 29:45, and Ethiopia's Chaltu Dida, 29:50. Further back in fourth place, Britain's Megan Keith, a multiple Eurocross winner in underage categories, clocked 30:07 to improve the European record for the third time this year, shaving 1 second off the mark set in Valencia in January by her compatriot Eilish McColgan. So that's it for road races. Let's move now to race walking. The Japanese half marathon race walking championships, held on 15 February in Kobe, saw outstanding results in a high-quality race, which saw 4 men dip well under the mark of 1 hour 21:30, which had been set by World Athletics Council last December as the standard to beat for the inaugural world record at the distance. Toshikazu Yamanishi, the 2019 and 2022 20 kilometers world champion, strode off at 17K, passing the 20-kilometer mark with just 16 seconds slower than the 20-kilometer world record he had set here a year ago. And he then continued strongly to close in a new record of 1:20:34 for the half marathon, almost 1 minute faster than the required standard, offering himself a new record on the day of his 30th birthday. Behind Yamanishi, 24-year-old Kento Yoshikawa, who was the best placed Japanese athlete at the home World Championships in September in 7th, and was also the Asian Championship silver medalist, closed in 1:20:50, closely followed by Tomohiro Noda, who had placed 6 over 35K at the 23 World Championships, who clocked 1 hour 20:57. Veteran Satoshi Maruo, who had finished just off the podium at the 2017 World Championships and is still highly competitive at 34, closed in 1:21:25, ahead of Brazil's reigning 20K world champion and 35K silver medalist, Caio Bonfim, with 1:21:44. Female Japanese walkers are not as strong, and the winner, Yukiko Umeno, clocked a 1:35:01, a mark which is very far from the global elite. So it's time now to go back to the global overview of our championships and check all the best results since the last show, starting with senior men's events. We will continue adding in brackets marks which are regular, which are less listed on the respected website Tilastopaya, but are not on World Athletics. So with the men, over 60 meters, as we said, 6.43 for Jordan Anthony, moves to equal number 10th in the all-time list. Over 200 meters, 20.33 for Omad Robinson. Over 400 meters, world record, as we saw for Khaleb McRae with 44.52. Earlier, but in Clemson, Christopher Morales Williams of Canada had run 44.80. Over the 800 meters, we mentioned the excellent 1:43.91 by Elliot Creston in Liévin, and the 1:44.03 World Under 20 record by Cooper Lutkenhouse in Winston-Salem. And he also moves to number 6 in the senior all-time list. Elliot Creston had another excellent mark of 1:44.07 in Toruń. Maciej Widerka, 1:44.30 behind Creston in Toruń, and 1:44.60.64 behind the Belgian in Liévin. Then 1:44.72 Filip Ostrowski of Poland in Toruń. 1:44.73 for Handel Robin in Winston-Salem, 1:44.75 for Jamaica's Navaski Anderson in Toruń, 1:44.80 for Algeria's Slimane Mimoula in Liévin, 1:44.92 for another Algerian, Mohamed Ali Gouaned in Liévin, and 1:44.05 for Isaac Nader in Toruń. 1500 meters, we mentioned the excellent 3 minutes 30.80 split for Cole Hocker. He moves to number 2 in the all-time list. Isaac Nader with his 3:32.44 in Liévin moves to number 12 in the all-time list. Azedine 3:32.56 in Toruń is better than number 15 mark, but he already has the number 10. 3:32.68 Samuel Chappell in Toruń. These are all marks worth over 1,261 points. Federico Riva 3:33.04 in Liévin. Andrew Koskaren 3:33.09 also in Liévin. Foster Malek 3:33.39 in Boston, and Samuel Pilström of Sweden 3:33.47. These are all worth 1,250 points or more. Then Stefan Nilesen 3:33.64, short-lived national record in Liévin. 3:33.74 split for Vincent Chiatay in Winston-Salem. 3:33.85 for Cooper Kothra in Boston, and 3:33.96 for Håkon Moeberg of Norway in Liévin. 3:34.28 for Mosisa Siyum of Ethiopia in Toruń. 3:34.35 split for Cooper Tier in Winston-Salem, and 3:33.66 split for Sam Ruth, also in Winston-Salem. In Toruń, Pietro Arese of Italy had clocked 3:34.75. So these are all marks at 1,230 points or more. Mile. This is really a fabulous performance by Cole Hocker, 3 minutes 45.94. That's worth a whopping 1,318 points. So really huge performance. A day earlier in Boston, Wes Porter, also of the USA, had clocked 3:50.37. Cooper Tier behind Hocker in Winston-Salem, 3:50.49. Aaron All, second in Boston, 3:51.33. Then we have 3 more marks from Winston-Salem. Vincent Chiatay, 3:51.70. Titouan Legris of France, 3:51.90. And George Cootie of Great Britain, 3:52.02. Then 3:52.08 for USA's Benjamin Allen in Boston, 3:52.09 for Australia's Jack Anstey in Winston-Salem, 3:52.30 for the USA's Thomas Ratcliffe in Boston, and Colin Salmon with the same time. Elliot Cook also in Boston, 3:52.32, as well as Pierre-Antoine Atiogbe of France, 3:52.44, and finally the 3:52.46 by Sam Ruth in Winston-Salem, and 3:52.48 by Jack Anstey in Boston on 22 February. 3,000 meters, Nico Young, 3:33.32 in Winston-Salem. Ethiopia's Adiso Yehune, 3:33.58 in Liévin. Yared Nugus in Winston-Salem, 3:33.78. Marco Langen, 3:34.00, and Colton Sands, 3:34.05 in Boston. Jakob Kropp of Kenya, 3:34.68 in Liévin. 3:35.29 for Ethan Strand in Winston-Salem. 3:35.44 for Getnet Wale in Liévin. 3:35.77 for Matthew Wilkinson in Winston-Salem, and 3:35.79 for Asdin Habs in Liévin. 5,000 meters, we have mentioned the excellent 12:59.09 by Parker Wolf in Boston on 22 February. 60-meter hurdles, this was back on 13 February in Clemson. Trey Cunningham with 7.37 improved his season's best and moves to equal number 7 on the all-time list. Then we move to the pole vault, 6 meters 06, as we saw for Mondo Duplantis, in spite of food poisoning in Clermont-Ferrand. 6 meters 01 for, sorry, that shouldn't be BLR for Belarus, not Belgium, for Matvey Volkov in Mogilev at the National Championships. 6 meters, as we saw for Emmanuel Caralis in Liévin. 6 meters also for Curtis Marshall in Clermont-Ferrand behind Duplantis, the first time the Aussie cleared 6 meters. Sondre Guttormsen and Zachary Bradford, as we saw, had both cleared 5 meters 90 in Liévin, and Emmanuel Caralis cleared it in Clermont-Ferrand. The best result from the Balkan Championships on 21st February came in the long jump by Bulgaria's Božidar Saraboyukov, who soared to 8 meters 42. That's just 3 centimeters shy of his world leading mark set also in Belgrade at the World Indoor Tour meet. Shot put, marks were not quite as good this year, but still this week. 21.92 for Joe Kovacs in Torun, 21.82 for Leo Fabri in Liévin. Then the 10K road race, as we saw, great debut for Harbert Kibet, 26.39. European record for Jan Schrob with 26.43. Third, Andreas Almgren with 26.45. In the half marathon, the lists were completely shaken up in the last fortnight. 55.08 for Hagos Gebrehiwet in Barcelona. That's number 9 equal in the all-time list, but he already has number 4. 58.14 for Jeffrey Kamworor in winning Ras Al Khaimah. 58.23 for Birhanu Bale behind Kamworor. 58:38 for Gideon Kipkertic Rono in Ras Al Khaimah, and 58:55 for Jamal Mekonnen, also in Ras Al Khaimah. The marathon also has a new leader. Shura Kitata of Ethiopia ran 2 hours 03:59 on 15 February in Sevilla, ahead of Ethiopia's Asrar Hireden, 2:03:59, and another Ethiopian, Dejene Hailu, 2:04:15. Half marathon race walk, as we saw, amazing competition at the Japanese championships, with 4 men under the standard that had been set by World Athletics to recognize a world record. Toshikazu Yamanishi, very, very high performance. That's worth 1,286 points, 120.34. Kento Toshikawa 120.50, Tomohiro Noda 120.57, Satoshi Maruo 121.25. Kayo Bonfim was just a little bit slower than the standard, 121.44, 122.06 Hayato Katsuki, 122.25 Kazuki Takahashi, 122.40 Yuta Kogo, 122.46 Hiroto Yusho, 122.50 Kazuya Iwai, and 22.50 also for Keisuke Hara. Then there was a very good performance in the 4x400 meters short track, 3 minutes 0086 by South Carolina in Clemson on 13 February. Josiah Rice, Jasona Dennis, Devon Crumpton, and Andrew Salvadon moved to number 2 in the all-time list. So let's take a look now at the best women's performances of the fortnight. Over 60 meters, as we said, 6:99 for Julian Alfred on 13 February, and that mark was equaled by Zainab Dosso in Torun on 22 February. Over 200 meters, 22.51 by Adeja Hodge of the British Virgin Islands. That's a little bit below our cutoff, these sprint marks. But the women have not been too outstanding so far this year. 300, there's a 35.92 for Stacey Ann Williams of Jamaica in Fayetteville. 800 meters, we have these fabulous world indoor record of 154.87 by Keely Hodgkinson, and her 156.33 at the British Championships. 1500 meters, 359.33 split for Elle St. Pierre, an area record for the American. Over the mile, she was the first in 417.83, but did not manage to improve her own record. Over 2,000 meters, as we saw, 526.68 for Jessica Hull. And over 3,000 meters, that was a very good race in Liévin, 8:24.59 for Freweni Hailu, 8:26.29 for Alessin Baweke, and 8:26.44 for Nadia Battocletti. In the shot put, Jessica Schilder has had 2 great performances in the last couple weeks, 20:49 on 13 February in Apeldoorn, and 20:43 on 25 February in Nevşehir. 10-kilometer road race, as we saw, very good race in Castellón, won by Caroline Makandi Gitonga in 29:34, moves to number 9, equal of all time. Nelvin Kipkemboy, her compatriot, 29:45, moves to number 15 equal. Then we have this mark of 29.46, which is still not on the World Athletics all-time list. In Castellón, 29.50 for Chaltudida and 30.07 for Megan Keith area record. Half marathon, Lois Chemnung with 1 hour 04:01 moves to number 6 in the all-time list. So let's take a look now at the best performances of the year. The very best is the mile mark of 3:44.94 by Cole Hocker, which, as we said, is worth a whopping 1,318 points. Number 2 mark is Josh Hoey's world indoor record from 24 January in Boston. That's also above 1,311 points. Third best mark, Cameron Myers' mile in Millrose Games, 3:47.57. That's 1,296 points. Then the 2,000 meters world best by Hobbs Kessler. That's worth 1,293 points. And that was on 24 January at the New Balance Indoor. Mile by, 1,500 meter split by Cole Hocker. That's worth 1,289. So the two best marks from this fortnight are both by Cole Hocker, the full mile and the split. Then mile, the Millrose Games mark by Yared Nuguse is worth 1,286 points. And then we have the half marathon race walk world record by Toshikazu Yamanishi, 1 hour 20:34. That's worth 1,286 points. That's really good. 2,000 meters Grant Fisher back in Boston. That's worth 1,285. And then Mondo Duplantis with his 6 meters 06. That's worth 1,283. And we have 2 marks tied in 10th place, worth 1,281. Cameron Myers in Boston on 24 January in the 3,000 meters, and Kento Toshikawa, who was second in the half marathon race walk on 15 February in Japan. Let's take a look at the women. The very best marks remain those from the Valencia 10K road race. Brenda Jepchirchir was worth 1,280, and right behind her, Likina Meba, 1,276. But then the third best mark of the year is Keely Hodgkinson's world indoor record in Liévin. Then we go back to the 10K road race. Caroline Makandi Gitonga, that's worth 1,272. Nelvin Kipkemboy, 1,261. Faith Kipyegon, if it will be ratified, is also 1,261. Claire Ndiwa was from Valencia in January. Chaltudida Castellón on 22 February, that's worth 1,257. And finally, half marathon, Lois Chemnung, her 1 hour 04:01 is worth 1,256 points. And Freweni Hailu's 3,000 meter mark in Liévin is worth 1,252. So that's it for the seniors, but there were some great performances also among under 20 and under 18 athletes. So let's start with the under 20s. The first is an outdoor mark, Australian sprint prodigy Gout clocked 10 flat on 21 February in Brisbane and moves to equal number 9 on the under 20 all-time list. Over 400 meters, this mark is not on World Athletics. 45-44 for Andrew Salvadon of the US in Clemson. That would be equal number 7 on the under 20 all-time list. Another mark not on World Athletics, 45.51 for Jack Stadelman in Albuquerque. That would be number 9 on the all-time list. At the Czech underage championships, Tomáš Horak clocked 45.64 and moves to number 10 on the under 20 all-time list. And there was also a 45.67 by the USA's Sidin Jie on 13 February in Clemson. Over 500 meters, USA's Quincy Wilson came closer to his excellent mark from Virginia Beach in January. He clocked 1 minute 0109 on 20 February at high school competitions in New York. Over 800 meter, we already mentioned the world under 20 record by Cooper Lutkenhaus. That's worth 1,262, great mark for an under 20. 1,500 meters in Winston-Salem. This is a split, Sam Ruth 3:34.66 is better than number 3 in the under 20 all-time list, but he already has number 2. In the mile, the full distance in Winston-Salem, 3:52.46 for Sam Ruth, and that's also better than number 20, but he already has number 2. 60-meter hurdles, Leazra Brown, 7.57 on 13 February in Clemson, and 7.64 for Anthony Omundsen Jonsen of Norway on 14 February. This was on the adult height. Then on the 99 centimeters, there's a mark which is on Tilastopaya, but not on World Athletics, a 7.51 for Jason Noah Bay of the US. In the heptathlon, with the under 20 implements, also at the Czech championships on 15 February, 5,813 points for Adam Julish, moves to number 18 on the under 20 all-time list. Let's move now to the women. 300 meters, Mariah Maxwell clocked 36.24 on 17 January in Clemson. Now, this only appeared on World Athletics lists in the last 10 days or so. 800 meters, very good mark by Britain's Shaikira King, 2 minutes 01.49. She moves to number 9 on the under 20 all-time list. 1,500 meters, 4:01.51 for Ethiopia Saron Berhe in Liévin. That's the number 3 mark of all time, but she already has number 2. Also over 1,500, 4:03.75 for Haregewen Kalayu in Torun. That's better than number 7 on the under 20 all-time list, but she already has number 5, and it's the number 2 mark in the under 18s after her indoor under 18 world best. Again, Saron Berhe 4:06.03 on 22 February in Torun. Then a mark which is not on World Athletics, 408.27 split for Claire Stigall of the US. That would be number 14 on the under 20 list. And another mark by Harageweni Kalayu, 408.43. In the mile, like her split, this is not on World Athletics, but it's on Tilas Topaya, 425.91 for Claire. In the 3,000 meters, two marks from Ethiopian ladies in Lievan, 844.36 for Yenawan Brett and 844.96 for Shitogumi. And finally, in the half marathon, 1 hour 0747 for Ethiopia's Amare Kasse at the Ras Al Khaimah half marathon. She moves to number 9 on the under 20 all-time list. So let's take a look now at the under 18s. 400 meters, Czech Republic, Lukáš Balkar, 47.01, moves to number 9 on the under 18 all-time list. Then there's a mark which is not on World Athletics, 47.29, Cameron Homer of the US on 21 February in Staten Island. That would be number equal 12th on the under 18 all-time list. And behind Balkar at the Czech Championships, 47.37 for Jakub Marek, which is number 18 equal in the under 18 all-time list. 1,500 meters, we've mentioned 3:34.66 split for Sam Ruth, and 3:52.46 on the full distance of the mile for the New Zealander in Winston-Salem. He also has a mark over 3,000 meters, 7:43.16, which moves him to number 4 in the age category all-time list. Then we have a series of marks by Nigeria's Jared El-Jassian in the 60-meter hurdles, 91.4 height. His best was 7.43 world under 18 best in winning the French underage championships. He already had 7.53 in the heats and 7.55 in the semi. Dutchman El Jaro Philipsen, 7.58 on 22 February. And France's Orfeo Chandler, 7.67 in Val de Reuil. He moves to equal number 11 on the under 18 all-time list. Final mark on the, these are outdoor marks in the hurdles, 91.4 height in Kingston, Jamaica, 31.14 for both Marquise Page and Devondre Matthews. They both moved to number 10 on the under 18 all-time list. The final mark among the men is in the discus throw, 66.32 for Spain's Hugo Casañas, who moves to number 17 in the under 20 all-time list. Among the women, 60 meters, 7.27 for Italy's Kelly Douala. She equals the number 11 on the all-time list, but she already has the equal number 4. 800 meters, very good mark by the USA's Paige Shepard, 2 minutes 02.81, moves to number 6 in the under 18 all-time list. This was on 14 February and on 17 January, but again appeared only very recently on World Athletics list over the 1,000 meters. She had clocked 2 minutes 44 0.44, and that is also number 6 on the under 18 all-time list. 1500 meters, we have already mentioned the 2 marks by Haregewenyi Kalayu when speaking about under 20 performances. So 4:03.75 in Torun and 4:08.43 in Lieven. Over the 3000, 9:06.77 for the USA's Blair Bartlett moves to number 11 in the under 18 all-time list. And we saw Alessia Succo improved the under 18 world best. There is also a mark by Poland's Gabriela Warecka, 8:25 on 15 February, and she equals number 10 on the under 18 all-time list. Pentathlon girls, 4,164 points for Germany's Svea Funk. It's better than the number 14 in the all-time list, but she already has equal number 11. Well, so that was a long list of excellent performances recorded over the last 15 days. And now I'd like to move to some cool athletics news. Congratulations to Bahamian Donald Thomas, the 2007 World High Jump champion and a top 6 finisher in 2013 and 2015, who is still going strong at age 41. At the high jump meet in Banska Bystrica on 24 February, he cleared 2 meters 22 for a new master 40-plus world indoor record, and he told the crowd that he would be back. Go Donald. Another master 40-plus world indoor record had been set 10 days earlier by Petr Svoboda, the 2011 Euro indoor 60-meter hurdles champion and 6th place finisher over the 110 hurdles in 2009. The 41-year-old Czech clocked 7.84 at the regional championships in Prague on 14 February. So congratulations to Petr Svoboda. And finally, congratulations to the municipality of Pantin in the Paris area, who dedicated a sports hall to Uganda's marathoner Rebecca Cheptegei, who had competed in the Paris Olympics weeks before being horribly murdered by her former partner, doused with petrol and set alight in front of her children. Thank you, Pantin, for keeping her memory alive. Time to go back now to happier thoughts. The Winter Olympics, Milano Cortina 2026, have now concluded. And I don't know about you, but I was closely following the results, reveling in the riveting stories coming from the slopes and ice rinks. A month ago, we had looked at the athletes from our sport competing at these games, in particular in the bobsleigh. And I must admit that I totally missed the best of them all. Former hurdler Georg Fleischhauer, who went on to win not 1, but 2 gold medals in the 2-man and 4-man bob. The German, now aged 37, took up bobsleigh in 2019 and since 2022 has paired with pilot Johannes Lochner, already a double silver medalist in the 2- and 4-man bob in 2022. And in their first season together, they immediately proved to be a formidable duo, winning World Championships gold in the 2-man bob and also the overall World Cup title in the discipline. On the Olympic track in Cortina, they proved unbeatable, dominating all 4 runs and leading a German podium sweep. And for good measure, Fleischhauer took another gold in the 4-man bob with pilot Lochner and teammates Torsten Margis and Jörg Wenzel, with number 1 spots in runs 1, 3, and 4, and only 2nd place in run 2. Congratulations to Georg Fleischhauer and his formidable pilot and team. The German is a former hurdler who had placed 6th in the 400 hurdles at the European Championships in 2012 and 2nd at the European Team Championships a year earlier. So what a great step up to double Olympic glory. Another great result came from Romania's two-man bob with pilot Mihai Cristian Tintea and brakeman Gheorghe Iordache, who took a surprising 5th place overall after finishing a splendid 3rd in run 3. Iordache, still 22, was a national-level decathlete, and in bobsleigh, he has enjoyed international success with Tintea at both junior and senior level, culminating with a 5th place in Cortina. Other participants from athletics included in the two-man bob, for France, Dorian Otterville, a former sprinter who was 10th with his pilot Romain Heinrich, Leon Greenwood of Great Britain, also a former sprinter, 12th with pilot Brad Hall, Canada's Shaquille Murray Lawrence, again a former sprinter, 18th with pilot Taylor Austin, Liechtenstein, David Schoffen, who was a former decathlete competing for Switzerland, was 20th for Liechtenstein with pilot Martin Kranz. And finally, our friends from Jamaica, Junior Harris and pilot Shane Pitter, both former domestic level athletes, placed 22nd. In the four-man bob, as well as Georg Fleischhauer, whom we have already mentioned, a British team including Leon Greenwood placed an excellent 7th. Canada's four-man bob placed 14th with sprinter Shaquille Murray Lawrence. Liechtenstein team with David Schoffen placed 22nd, and Jamaica with a team full of athletes, all 4 of them had a past as an athlete, was 22nd. In the women monobob, running for Jamaica, Mika Moore was 14th. She was a former sprinter, and she improved her 18th place from the 2018 edition of the Olympics when she was competing for Great Britain. And another British athlete, thrower Adele Nichol, placed 18th. In the two-man bob, the USA 2 teams placed 7th with exactly the same time. One was the USA with Jaden O'Brien, combined eventer who took up bob only 4 months ago. She was paired with experienced pilot Elana Meyers-Taylor, who then went on to win the monobob and become the oldest individual gold medalist in Winter Olympics history, aged 41. Also 7th, Switzerland featured sprinter Salome Cora and pilot Deborah Annen. For 9th place, Austria with Christiania Williams, former sprinter for Jamaica, and pilot Catherine Bilal, and then further back for Great Britain, a team composed of 2 former athletes, sprinter Ashley Nelson and pilot Adele Nichol. But athletes from our sport also excelled in another discipline, the newly introduced ski mountaineering. Spain's Oriol Cardona Coll made history when he took gold in the men's sprint race and bronze in the mixed relay in the very first time skimo was a part of the Winter Olympics. It was also the first winter gold medal for Spain in 54 years the previous one dating back to Sapporo 1972, where Francisco Fernandez Ochoa had taken a surprise victory in the slalom, defeating the then dominant Italian Gustavo Toni. Paquito would only win one other race in his career, a World Cup slalom in 1974. Cardona, however, was no surprise, as he had already won the sprint race at the 2023 and 2025 World Championships. The 31-year-old Catalan is also an excellent mountain runner who had won team gold and individual bronze at the 2019 World Long Distance Mountain Running Championships in Villa La Angostura, Argentina. He then took 2 more team medals at the 2021 World Mountain and Trail Running Championships, postponed to May 22 in Chiang Mai, Thailand, silver in the up and down race and bronze in the uphill race. Felicitats, Oriol Cardona. Spanish journalist Javier González Amat is from Barcelona and knows Cardona well. Let's hear what he has to tell us about the talented athlete.
Hola Ana, pues España ganó 3 medallas en los Juegos de Milán Cortina en esquí de montaña. Oriol Cardona ganó el oro en la prueba individual y el bronce en el relevo mixto con Ana Alonso. Fue el gran protagonista para España. Además ha sido para el país un éxito muy importante. Esta misma semana el rey Felipe y el presidente del gobierno Pedro Sánchez han recibido a Oriol Cardona en el Palacio para felicitarle. Era la primera vez que se competía en esquí de montaña en unos Juegos Olímpicos, pero la victoria de Oriol no fue casualidad. Oriol es de la zona de Cataluña y en Cataluña hay mucha tradición de deportes de invierno. El 60-70% de los deportistas españoles que compitieron en los Juegos fueron de esta zona de Cataluña, donde además el esquí de montaña podríamos considerar que es como un deporte nacional. Se practica en competición desde hace más de 100 años y el gobierno invierte mucho dinero desde hace muchos años para que salgan grandes deportistas. Justamente en Cataluña existe un centro de alto rendimiento específico de esquí de montaña desde hace más de 30 años. Empiezan a trabajar con niños de 13, 14 años y muchos de los protagonistas de la Copa del Mundo, pues por ejemplo, son catalanes y lo son por esa razón. En la última década también el gran referente del esquí de montaña fue Kilian Jornet y también es de Cataluña y formado en este centro. Los esquiadores de montaña, como en verano no tienen nieve, se dedican a correr por la montaña para poder entrenar y mantenerse en forma. Y resulta que estos esquiadores pues corren tanto que lo hacen muy bien y a Oriol Cardona se le da muy bien correr. Fue incluso medallista en el Mundial del 2019 en Argentina y que participó con la selección española de atletismo. Y seguro que además este éxito olímpico le impulsará todavía más a lograr grandes resultados.
Muchas gracias, Xavi. Let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. So this weekend, as we said, national indoor championships in many countries, but also the South American indoor championships in Cochabamba in Bolivia. Sunday is also the Tokyo Marathon, the first of the World Marathon Majors. And 1st and 2nd of March, Chinese Race Walking Grand Prix, which is always a very strong leg of the World Race Walking Tour. 6th March, World Indoors Silver meet in Berlin. The next day, Perche Elite Tour also silver in Berlin, and the Dudinska 50 World Race Walking Tour gold in Dudince. 8th March, Nagoya Women's Marathon. 12th March, the Mondo Classic in Uppsala, also World Indoor Tour silver. 13-14 March, NCAA Division 1 Indoor Championships in Fayetteville, and 14 and 15 March, the European Winter Throwing Cup in Nicosia in Cyprus. 15 March, Asian Race Walking Championships in Nomi, Japan, and also marathons in Barcelona, in Meishan, China, in Seoul, Shanghai, and Taipei. Then on 20 and to 22 March, World Indoor Championships in Torun. 22 March, there were also top marathons in Rome and in Wuxi, China. 27 and 28 March, Maury Plant Meet in Melbourne. And on 28 March, the 10 great 10,000 meters event in San Juan Capistrano. So that's it. We're now at the end of our program, and it was great reviewing together all the amazing performances of the past fortnight. Thank you all for watching. See you in 2 weeks on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what has been happening in our sport. In particular, the many national indoor championships taking place this weekend as athletes gear up to the World Indoors next month. See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.